Yep, and I think we're live. And what's up, G Show Later? Welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Godzilla Block Party. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. It is a late edition of the Godzilla Block Party, and we are coming to you live. Now, I don't know how many people are going to join us. But the fact of the matter is, we are here and we are live. It is I, G1, and of course, I am joined by my co-host, my cohort, my brother from another mother, G73, aka Megzy, aka my brother Chase. How the hell you doing, bro?
Oh man, it's nice. Christmas is finally over, but now we have that waiting for New Year's anxiety. Wondering if the world's gonna end in 2021. And I mean, it sure as hell feels that way right now, especially with a certain franchise we love. But let's just try and be optimistic.
That's right. Let's be Optimus Prime about everything. Because the fact of the matter is, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to do this earlier in the week. Then I thought against it because I was like, meh. And then nobody else was going to join me. And I was like, I really don't want to do it by myself. Then we were going to do it yesterday. And I was like, meh. Because I kind of fell asleep. I'll be honest with you. I'm getting older. I passed out early. But here we are. Doing it now. And rocking on. And the reasoning for the topic, the tag of this particular video of is GVK the final Monsterverse movie is because this week we kind of found out that Legendary, while they're not really in court just yet per se, they really are taking Warner Brothers to task. And Legendary wants Dune to come out theaters only. They don't want it to come out on HBO Max. They are fighting for Dune to come out in theaters only. And they have a strong argument. Apparently, there's a clause in the contract which says they can do that. That Dune should only come out in theaters.
Wait, hold on. Warner Brothers is saying that, or Legendary?
Legendary.
Okay, because you said Warner Brothers at first, and I was a little confused.
That was my bad. That's my bad.
You're good.
It's extremely late, and I'm extremely tired. And
I know, it's my fault. You can send me hate mail later.
Man, you're beating butt, bro. And I'm, I was having a couple of cold ones earlier today, so yeah, I should be sleeping, but Brother Chase convinced me. Anyhow, so yeah, Legendary was like, yo, we want Dune to come out. We want Dune to come out in theaters only. And their argument is, they're coming out in the fourth quarter of 2021, and by that time, they're like, the COVID vaccine would be out for, mainstream use. So basically what they're saying is people can go to the movie theaters and feel safe because, hopefully by that time there'll be enough people with the COVID vaccine that there becomes a herd immunity. So all that's fine. They want that. All that's fine and dandy. But the thing that kind of rubbed me wrong was, you're just gonna throw Godzilla vs. Kong to the side like it ain't nothing? Like, granted, the movie comes out in May, and in May is when, supposedly we'll get the first batch of vaccines for the public. But, and this is where I'm like, hold up. Legendary really wasn't fighting for it. What they said was, yo, we want Dune to come out in theaters, and we want $250 million for Godzilla vs. Kong. The same amount of money Netflix was going to give us. We want that from you. So, and then here's the deal. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong is still coming out in theaters. It's just coming out simultaneously on HBO Max. So, you could, if you wanted to, in May, go see Godzilla vs. Kong in the movie theater. Right? Or you could do like me and Wonder Woman 84 it, which means stay at home and watch it on your TV, like I did. And by the way, Wonder Woman 84 sucked. It was a fucking mess. It was terrible. I didn't like it. I was really, really, really looking forward to this movie.
And they just greenlit Wonder Woman 3.
Kudos for them. And you know, it's kind of funny because I knew that was going to happen, because they have several projects in the works with that. But in regards to Godzilla vs. Kong, when Legendary's coming out of their way and saying we want Doom to be a theatrical release only, and I honestly think that they're gonna shorten the theatrical window. They'll do like the 3 weeks to 1 month and then put it on streaming services, depending on where the world is at that time, in regards to the fucking Hedorah, the smog monster flying around still. They want Dune to be in theaters because they want Dune to be the next big franchise. I mean, there's 6 books written by the main author, and then there's a couple of offshoot books. But the main crux of it, by the main author, they figure they can milk it like a Harry Potter, like I wouldn't say Lord of the Rings, but like Harry Potter. Oh my God, what's the other one? The Hunger Games. They can milk it because it's a book series and it's a science fiction book series that goes back to way back when, and there's a cult following behind that. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not one of those people. I don't care about Dune. I don't want to see Dune. If I had any inkling of seeing Dune, it would have been on HBO Max. I'm not going to the movies to see that. That movie I have no interest in it. But Godzilla vs. Kong, I do. Now, when they keep pushing Dune the way they are pushing Dune for theatrical release because they want it to be the franchise that it's supposed to be, because they have in their head, and I'm pretty sure Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune, set it up in a way where it's going to have sequels. Well, you want that in the movie theater, You want that there in the movie theater. You want people to go to the movies and be like, oh, wow, okay. So when it comes back around, the sequel, everybody be like, oh, we got to go see it. We got to go see what happens next. But in the tweets and everything they've been talking about within the past week, as far as Godzilla vs. Kong is concerned, all they're asking for is $250 million. They're not saying we want Godzilla vs. Kong in the theaters. They're saying we just want $250 million. $250 million is what Godzilla vs. Kong should make opening weekend. Matter of fact, it should make more than $250 million opening
especially
weekend.
Because it was confirmed it was a $170 million movie to make. Like, that's like.
Wait, it was 170?
Yeah, Variety just came out a couple weeks ago, and Warner Legendaries put out like the numbers that Godzilla vs. Kong was indeed a $170 million film to make.
$170 million for a movie like Godzilla vs. Kong, in my personal opinion, is very below budget for something like this.
I agree.
So,
but something I wanted to bring up is looking back at that little 3-second clip. That looked like great CGI, and that's like I don't know how cheap that really is.
Right.
Also, we don't know who's doing the CGI. It could be Amblin this time because Amblin did great on Kong Skull Island, or maybe not Amblin, but ILM or something like that. I can't remember who, but there's the people that did the Jurassic Park stuff. They did Kong Skull Island this time, and Kong Skull Island looked great, and that's what it looks like with Godzilla vs. Kong. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm rambling on. It's really irrelevant, but it just looked like the CGI was very good for its budget.
Man, no, Skull Island was awesome, and if it was the people who did the Jurassic Park movies, it's ILM, definitely Industrial Light and
Yeah.
Magic, um, which is awesome because fuck, I've always wanted an ILM Godzilla, so kudos to that. I'm pretty sure they did Godzilla too, but I know it's not Weta. Anyhow, what bothers me with this, especially now that I know that this movie cost only 170 to make, 170 million. 250 million, boom, they make their production cost and they add on to it. They get a couple, couple bits extra. And it'll still come out in theaters, which means they can still make a couple of 100 million, if that. But they'll make a couple of million, definitely, right? A couple tens of millions at the very least. But, and this is where I'm like, okay, it's over. It's over, it's over, it's over. Legendary is finished with the Monsterverse. They are not really fighting for it. They're just basically saying Dune needs to be the big thing. We got to get Dune out there. But you could give us $250 million for Godzilla vs. Kong and we're straight. Okay. Why does Dune have to be the big thing? Because again, they already in their heads have this whole idea of sequels, which means, in my personal opinion, that the Dune movie is going to end on a cliffhanger. If not a cliffhanger, it's going to be open-ended for sequels. Whereas Godzilla vs. Kong is a culmination from Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters. And now we get this, the culmination. This is where I'm like, okay, if Legendary is not fighting for Godzilla vs. Kong the way it's fighting for Dune, this is it. It's over. And there's a lot of reasons. There's a bunch of other evidence, in my opinion, that backs up this case that I'm making. The lack of a trailer. And, we could all say, well, we saw what early trailers did for King of the Monsters. It was just an excessive amount of money to promote the movie, and then the movie didn't bring that money back. It didn't reciprocate. That's true, and that's a fact, and you can't deny that. But if we know that Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out on HBO Max, then we don't need an excessive promotional boom. You could put a trailer out right now for May and be like, boom, Godzilla vs. Kong. HBO Max. And they're not doing it. And not today, but yesterday, apparently, they were supposed to be the whole Box Day debacle. There was this, and oh my God, talk about fucking hysterical. On a Facebook page, there was a Facebook page that claimed right after CCXP, so December 7th, that the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer was going to come out the day after Christmas. They claimed this. They claimed they saw the trailer, and they claimed that this trailer was coming out the day after Christmas. Box Day is what they called it.
No.
And it didn't happen. And you know what's hysterical is, on Christmas Day, I went to that Facebook page, and I went through their
post. They delete everything?
They deleted it. So I was like, look at this shit.
Yeah, we've been down that road before, just like that person on Twitter that said, oh, Godzilla vs. Kong trailer is going to be coming out, and if it's not, I'll delete my Twitter. And then when it didn't come out, he deleted his Twitter.
At least,
like, come on, people.
Look,
seriously.
At least he was honest. At least he did what he said he was going to do,
Right.
This page is still going. They just deleted that post like nothing ever happened. Like, listen, bro, you claimed something. You should own it. You claimed it to get clicks. It worked for that particular moment in time, but here we are. The trailer still ain't dropped, and it doesn't seem like it's going to drop anytime soon.
See, and that's the thing with the internet. It's like, if you lie, eventually you're going to get caught. Eventually your lie is going to be pulled. And when it comes to, like, trailers for any movie, oh, this trailer's coming out, look, if you lie about it, you know it's not going to happen. You know you're going to be looked as an idiot. I mean, you don't say, "Oh, Godzilla versus Kong trailer is going to come out in November," and you say, "Oh, I have just significant proof," and then it doesn't come out. It just makes you look so stupid.
Right.
And I hate that. I hate that so much that so many people do that. That's one of the problems I have with the Godzilla community is that we do have that group of individuals that try and stir up for the clicks and the likes, and they try to stir up for that, publicity. And then it's like they make up excuses when they get caught in their lie, and then they just take what they get and run with it. And that's what causes a lot of the fans in this community too to be gullible, and that's hard because that causes another problem, because then you get gullible fans that believe it, and then it becomes this thing where the whole community catches fire to it. That's what it's like. It's like one person starts the fire and then it just consumes. And that's what gets hard about being in the community, is when that happens. And it is what it is, but still it's just, I hate it. I hate it so much.
No, dude, I get you. I get you, and that's the problem with some. Look, it's funny. If you follow Legendary on social media, and they put up, for instance, something about Dune, the comment section, 90% of the comment section is, "Where's the Godzilla versus Kong trailer?" It's hysterical. It's hysterical, and as a fan, I'm with them, but I also understand. You can't push them. Plus, I don't think it's Legendary that controls the trailer. So it's Warner Brothers you gotta be asking.
Well, and you got to understand too, a lot of the fans need to understand that with Legendary and Warner Brothers going into war right now, we're not going to see any Godzilla versus Kong related stuff because of litigation. And there's a lot of things that are going to be put on hold because of just how this lawsuit is going to play. It's just like, it's maybe not as severe as the Friday the 13th copyrights, but with this and what's going on, it's not going to be a simple thing where next week we're going to see Godzilla versus Kong. No, we're not probably going to see anything until this actually gets settled, and we don't know when that will be.
Right. And
unless they make some type of agreement, like, hey, you guys can put something out. It's probably not going to happen, and that's hard. But a lot of fans just don't see that, I think.
Well, the word on the street is Warner Brothers is in a bind right now. And Legendary got them by the balls. And because Legendary got them by the balls...
Well, it's not just Legendary, it's everyone else under Warner Brothers' helm, too.
Right, but because Legendary is leading the charge, they've got them by the balls. Yeah. So Warner Brothers is going to have to make amends if they don't want to go to court, because as of right now, they're not in court. It's a threat. But Warner Brothers knows that if it goes to court, apparently within the contract that Dune had, they're going to lose, and they're going to lose bad. So they can't do that. So what it looks like is going to happen is Warner Brothers is going to let Dune come out in theaters first for at least a month, and then put it on streaming. But I don't know if it's going to either go to HBO Max or, across the platform where you can, rent the movie for $20.
Do you think that maybe one of the reasons why Legendary isn't batting so hard for Godzilla vs. Kong is because maybe Legendary knows the movie might not come out in May?
Nope. The movie's coming out in May. It's set. It's coming out in May. That movie... They're not pushing that movie back anymore because they don't have faith in that movie. And I hate to say it, but that's the truth. They have zero faith in that movie as opposed to Dune. And that's why they're pushing for Dune the way they are pushing for Dune. That's why they're willing to accept $250 million for Godzilla vs. Kong. The same amount of money that Netflix was offering them. Yeah. They're willing to accept because they know we just got to get this movie out. Because, again, I hate to say it, but it was a trajectory. It was going down. It was a downward spiral.
So one thing though is if Legendary accepts and gets the 250 million, does that mean they're not going to get any money once it hits its release?
No, because it's still coming out in theaters on May 21st.
So Legendary will still get funds and part of the box office.
They'll still get part of the box
So
office,
it
yes.
makes me wonder if the 250 million is just at least to keep them safe.
Well, yeah, that's it. Because if we know now that the movie cost 170 million to make, well, 250 million gives them back their production budget, right? And then, and I suck at math, but whatever is left from 250, from 170, it's money in the bank. I'm pretty sure that'll go to paying actors particular bonuses if they hit a certain thing. But again, it's coming out in theaters too. So let's say Godzilla vs. Kong makes 250 million worldwide when it comes out in theaters. Well, now you just made $500 fucking million. You're winning. Yeah. Off of $170 million budget.
I'm just confused as to why Warner Brothers would go and green light Wonder Woman 3 already when it only made 16 million.
Because because the superheroes are a proven commodity and the monsters are not. And that's the fact. It's a fact. Yeah. King of the Monsters showed that.
I mean, yeah, it's getting pretty bleak, because on one hand, I also blame Warner Brothers for this because I feel like they are the ones that kind of squashed this, but...
Squash what?
I mean, squashed the whole Monsterverse.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did. The fans squashed the Monsterverse. And I hate to say... I can't even say the fans. Let me rephrase that. The general public squashed the Monsterverse. It's not something that people want. We want it. We, the fans, want it. That's why whenever Legendary posts something on their social media pages that's not Godzilla vs. Kong related, all you get is, where's the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer? Warner Brothers, even Legendary, and that's why Legendary is saying, just give us 250, they all know that Godzilla vs. Kong is the end of the Monsterverse. They're not looking to make anything else. I'm telling you right now, trust me, they're not going to make another movie. Toho is waiting in the wings. And they're like, all right, finish this shit off so we can come back and do what we need to do.
So here's another question. Do you think that in a couple of years do you think we would never see an Americanized Godzilla extension again? Or do you think it'd just be some time?
I honestly don't think that we're going to get another American Godzilla.
Well, what if they revive the Legendary design and just continued a different type of story with it?
If they do it Toho-wise, that's probably where it goes.
But you don't think we would ever see a Hollywood Godzilla ever again?
I won't say ever again, but within the next 10 years, we ain't seeing it. It's over. It's over right now. And because the culmination is already here. We've already gone from Godzilla 2014, Skull Island, and King of the Monsters. And now we're getting Godzilla vs. Kong. The culmination is here. And if anybody's been paying attention to YouTube over this week, there are a couple of certain websites saying, that, Godzilla vs. Kong is going to be an all-out war. I've been saying that for over a fucking year, that Godzilla vs. Kong should have the tagline, destroy all monsters, because that's what this movie is going to be. It's going to be destroy all monsters. It really is. You go back to what Gareth Edwards had said right after G14 dropped. He was like, I would love to bring Mothra and King Ghidorah and Rodan into the fold because I really would love a destroy all monsters epic at the end. This was before Kong Skull Island was even in the works. This is what Gareth Edwards was saying, and I fucking love G14. That's happening in this movie. It ends here. Godzilla vs. Kong, mark my words, is the end of the Monsterverse. As much as I hate to say it, it is. It's over.
Yeah, they better get rid of that end credit scene then.
The end credit scene, the end credit scene ain't gonna be worth a
No, I'm
fucking.
just saying, if they got an end credit scene at the end of Godzilla vs Kong, then they better get rid of it. I don't want any hints or any teases that this franchise can continue. If it's dead, I want it to just be credits. That's it, or
It's
maybe a thank you or a Godzilla nod at the end. But I don't want nothing being like, oh, there's gonna be another movie, because that I don't like busting my balls.
bro. Here's my thing. Like Toho's coming back. And Toho's gonna come back hardcore. They're gonna do their own universe. They're gonna revamp their entire kaiju series, and they're going to make their version of. I hate to say Avengers because it shouldn't be called Avengers. Avengers are superheroes. These are giant monsters, but they're gonna do their own movie verse. And in today's day and age, Toho realizes what sells. That sells. Legendary didn't go about it the right way. Whether it was Legendary or Warner Brothers, you seen it with King of the Monsters. The decline. Fans of the fucking genre loved it. Loved it. But the general fucking public, the general audience, the people who bring the money in, this is where I get a little frustrated with fans, because I'm like, don't y'all understand? We can go see this movie 10 times. And then we tap out because we ain't got no more fucking money.
Yeah.
But if nobody else goes sees it 10 times, this movie makes no money. And that's what this shit is all about, making money. It's not, and it hurts because it's not about the love of the craft. If the fans were in charge of making this shit, it'd be about the love of the craft, and we would want to keep going. You think I want the Monsterverse to end? Hell no. Hell no. I would love to see it keep going. But I also know the fucking, I understand the business side of things. This shit ain't making no money. It's not making no money. It's losing money. King of the Monsters lost money. It did not make it, lost money. So why are we gonna keep going? And that's why when right now when they're pushing more for Dune to be a theatrical release, and they're just saying Godzilla vs. Just give us $250 million. That means it's over. It's fucking over. The Monsterverse is done. So that means in 2022, Toho needs to come out and say, "Here we go."
It's not to interrupt you, but I was looking back at some of the interviews with the cast of King of the Monsters, and I remember that when they did that red, the blue carpet or the red carpet, the Godzilla premiere thing they did, and I remember when Kyle Chandler was interviewed. This interview was pretty awkward. The interviewer asked him something about the movie, and he's like, "Oh," they said, "Did you expect anybody to come to this premiere?" And Kyle Chandler got mad. He said, "Well, it's better than anyone showing up at all," and he got mad. And I've been seeing this trend by looking back at the interviews with King of the Monsters, and there's been so much being said regarded about the movie's audience intake, and it just makes me wonder that did Legendary know something before it came out, that they knew this movie was not going to do well? Because not only did Michael Dougherty say, bring 10 people and your friends and have them go see it, but also some of the cast members were making comments to that. And it just makes me wonder, what happened to King of the Monsters that when they made them so optimistic, then it made them not optimistic? And that kind of hurts me, because I feel like as a fan that hurts, but it makes me wonder what happened behind the closed doors that we don't know about, that caused this movie to basically be the nail in the coffin to the franchise. And that's what hurts, because now we got Godzilla vs. Kong, and in reality, we shouldn't have gotten it. This movie was made, and we shouldn't have gotten it after King of the Monsters. Well, and it just makes me wonder, what happened?
No, we absolutely needed to get this, even after the disaster that was King of the Monsters, in terms of what it made monetary. Again, the fans, it's 50-50. I wouldn't say 50-50. fans loved King of the Monsters. You know, like I say this all the time. I don't like that movie. Then I watch the movie and I fucking love the movie. And then when the movie's done, I'm like, man, that was so much fun. And then I hate the movie again. You know, like there's things, and it's just, it's such a weird feeling. It's like I can't describe my emotions when I watch that movie because I do have fun. As a Godzilla fan, I get into it. There are like it works, especially when the monster I was not say especially when the monsters, only when the monsters are on screen. It works. Everything else, I can't stand. I hate the human element. I do. I can't stand it. I hate the bad jokes. Like I hate all of that shit. But
there was a lot in King of the Monsters that was supposed to happen that never happened, and that's one of the things that I keep looking back at with all the things Doherty was saying and all the things Millie Bobby Brown was saying, and they did not happen in the movie, and it just makes me wonder what happened. Because I feel like something happened to King of the Monsters during that time when they finished it, and something just fell flat. They fumbled the ball or something. And maybe they lost some footage and just didn't say so or something. You know, I don't know, but something is not right when when I personally watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. I feel like something is not right. There's something wrong with how this movie is playing out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the movie and it has great scenes. But the flow of the movie, there's some point where it feels like it just gets choked. And then the movie just dies after that. And I'm just wondering, like, how did that happen? And what caused it? And that's what I'm more curious about. I wish I knew, but I feel like we never will.
It's called studio interference. That's what that is.
Unfortunately.
It's called studio interference. Look, I don't doubt that Michael Dougherty came into making King of the Monsters with nothing but the best intentions, right?
Right.
But the only movie I can go by from Michael Dougherty is Krampus. I saw Krampus a couple years back. I fucking loved the movie.
Krampus is great.
It was a great movie. I enjoyed the shit out of that movie. There wasn't really corny jokes in it. It was not. It was just a fucking crazy good horror movie set at Christmas. I'm going into King of the Monsters not looking for that, but I'm like for all intents and purposes leading up to it, he respects and loves the lore of Godzilla. Cool. He knows what he's following. Kong Skull Island, G14. Cool. The lore is established. So when you go in and you make a movie, and now all of a sudden you go from the serious tone of Godzilla 2014. This is the direct sequel to that, right? It's not a direct sequel to Kong Skull Island. And Kong Skull Island is not a direct sequel to Godzilla 2014. But King of the Monsters in 2014, King of the Monsters is a direct sequel. All of a sudden the tone shifts completely and there's these, again, Michael Bay jokes, like Transformer style jokes. Where the fuck are we going? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it just baffles my fucking mind that they would go
that route. It's like Doherty wanted to make a serious movie, but the interference from Legendary or maybe Zach Shields when he was writing it was, we need to make something more gantered towards family. But the thing is, the jokes they make they're not family friendly.
Oh, but that's
that gonorrhea joke was just stupid.
But that's my point. That's my point. It's we can make these jokes for the people who really don't care about the monster action, for the people outside of the fandom, we'll make these fucking jokes because they love these jokes, right? Yeah, of course they do. Look, Transformers makes billions of dollars. They love these jokes. And that's disrespectful for the people outside of the fandom coming to see this movie. Like, just people want to go see
disgusting jokes,
And again, like, I don't care how you feel about the jokes itself. Like, just joking in these situations, to me, it doesn't work. That's the one thing G14 fucking nailed was the fact that it took itself serious. It took itself seriously. This King of the Monsters did not take itself seriously. The monster action is fucking dope and on par, but it did not take itself seriously. It's a piece of shit. So, Now, but that being said, going back to you saying you don't understand how they were going to make a King of the Godzilla versus Kong. That was always in the picture as soon as Kong Skull Island came out, and as soon as they said Monarch was a part of it, and as soon as we saw the ending, that was always going to happen. That was never. It didn't matter what King of the Monsters was going to make. That was the end game, or somewhat of the end game. You know.
Right.
So I mean, it's just, yeah, it's frustrating. Again, it's frustrating. We don't have a trailer. I would love to have a trailer. I would love to be right now reviewing a trailer, but that's not happening. And again, it makes me kind of weird because kind of crazy because I'm like, well, at this point in time, you only need one trailer. You don't have to market this movie the way you did King of the Monsters.
That makes me wonder. Maybe that's just what they're going for. Maybe give it a couple more weeks, maybe a month or so, and then we'll finally see it. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in the tail end of 2020. 2021 is right around the corner, which means which means Godzilla versus Kong is right around the block. It's there. It's happening. You know? At this point in time, yeah, we should have had something. And I've seen people saying, well, you don't want to put something out, 6 months in advance and then people lose interest. I agree. I totally agree. Especially if you're only going to do one trailer, right? Because again, Godzilla versus Kong, King of the Monsters, the trailer came out 2018 Comic-Con, a whole fucking year before the movie actually dropped. And then they dropped the dope trailer in January. January is around the corner. That's where the trailer should come. Drop the dope trailer in January. Drop one fucking trailer in January. That's pretty much all you need right now. It's just one. And say it's coming out in May. And then, you've got your sports. You've got the football. The Super Bowl will be coming up. Basketball just came back. That'll be in full swing. Then you can pimp it. You can play it. You could throw that trailer up right before YouTube videos if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. The money that they will spend on marketing now is significantly less than the money they spent on marketing King of the Monsters. So they can do it and get away with it. They can do it and get away with it. And again, Legendary's asking for $250 million. That's it. It's over. This is the end. We're going to see Godzilla vs. Kong, and then we have to wait for Toho. Because it's not going to happen anymore.
Since we're on this topic, what do you think about our new friend Warbat and its synopsis?
So, going by what that synopsis said, I'm going to stick to my guns and say that's not a gigantic beast. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir, Lord Master Starscream. We definitely did see new images for Warbat. I'm going to stick to my guns. A couple of months ago, several months ago, about 5 months ago, whatever it was, we did a podcast that unfortunately didn't make it to air because my computer sucks. And it was saying, we were talking, it was when they showed Warbat. And in my opinion, I said Warbat was not going to be this giant monster. It was going to be, at least in my opinion, what I was hoping for was it was going to be something that when they go into the Hollow Earth, humans, the military, had to deal with. Now, I wasn't thinking they were going to be like regular human size, but you figure you run up into the Hollow Earth and you run into these 12-foot, snake bats. Like, that's insane and scary. And all yeah, it's scary in its own right? Like if you're a military dude and you're in a hovercraft, right, and you're going into Hollow Earth, and all of a sudden, boom, these fucking snakes are flying at you. Snakes are flying at you. It's insane. Like, what the fuck is going on? And something that kind of lent credence to my theory was in this last this week, the synopsis where it was saying that its jaws can, bite through steel. Okay. Well, if it's a giant fucking monster, it should just be able to swallow something, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm like, okay, you know what? This is definitely not gonna be a giant monster. This is gonna be a bunch of things that they fight in Hollow Earth, and it again. This is what makes me excited for Godzilla vs Kong, because I'm like, cool. We'll get to see the military actually fighting something that they can actually
that's
kill.
what I would like to see. I miss that.
Yeah.
You know.
So when I read that synopsis and I was like, oh, their jaws could bite through steel. To me, I took it as the military and Monarch or whoever is going through the Hollow Earth in the hovercrafts that we saw released with I think it was Warbat. Or I think it was a Kong figure.
No, it was Warbat.
It was Warbat.
They had that Humvee thing. No, it was a Skullcrawler.
A Skullcrawler, right.
Yeah, Skullcrawler had that like heave. That's what it was called.
Right. So as the Hev, as it's going down into the Hollow Earth, and you come across these Warbats, and the Warbats anywhere between I'm gonna say 10 to 15 feet. That's pretty monstrous. Because, your average human is about 6 foot, 6'3". So 10 to 15 feet, that's pretty monstrous in its own right. And its jaws can bite through steel. I expect to see that happening to these Hebs as they enter the Hollow Earth. Because again, if it was like a giant monster, if it was like when Muto, remember when the Muto in 2014 bit down on the
bus.
On the bus. Right. It completely decimated that. So if Warbat was anything like that, it should just be able to swallow this thing. Instead of biting down. I'm like, what? Really? That's, oh God, look out. It's scary. It's biting down. So.
Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to imagine that these things are going to be fighting a certain mechanized monster, because that would be just kind of weird, but anyways.
I mean, it wouldn't be far-fetched to see them being leached off of it, which would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be fucking dope.
It just makes me wonder, like, what else is going to be. I'm more interested in what the big bad of this movie is going to be.
Oh, I tell you what the big bad's going to be. It's going to be Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
It's the
bad.
Warner monster.
It's going to
be like Doomsday.
Exactly. I agree with that, Lord Master Starscream. I agree. Yeah. Warbat, biting down into steel, I could see that doing damage to Mechagodzilla. That makes sense.
Maybe they destroy Mechagodzilla. They start leeching inside its body, eat like they're snakes, so they're gonna be swimming around in the metal. That'd be kind of creepy thinking about that.
And it makes sense too.
Snake bat things leeching off and then going inside Mechagodzilla and just destroying him from the inside. That'd be kind of scary. Remind me of Dino Crisis 3. If anyone who ever played that. There's a part where they go into space, and it takes place in space, but they go into this room, and there's a zombie T-Rex that pops out, and then these like leech type worm snake things come and attack the T-Rex, and they start leeching inside of him, and it just gets gross and kind of creepy. But that's what it reminds me of.
Well, that's where Mechagodzilla gets the artificial skin.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You ain't getting Destroyer, stupid ass thing anyway. You're
gonna be in a world of hurt.
Nope. Because I'm gonna be like
watch the big bad's gonna be Hedorah.
That would make sense. It's gonna be everybody's gonna fall ill and just die. And that's how the Monsterverse ends. No, let me not say that. It's terrible. But yeah, no, not for nothing.
And Save the Earth just keeps playing in the background.
Lord Master Starscream makes a good point there about doing damage to Mechagodzilla. That, when they say biting down onto steel, that kind of makes sense. Like, if that's the case. because again, we do. I did say this is probably going to be Destroy All Monsters. Um, they should have just freaking named it Destroy All Monsters for all it's worth. Um, and it would be cool to see that, like humanity going at, the Warbats with their war machine. I'm down for that. Also,
Also,
the
this
Warbats
makes
are.
me wonder why are they going into the Hollow Earth? If they're going into the Hollow Earth just to find other monsters, like, okay, I guess that's cool if you want to go like to the Lost World route. But I'm like, really? That's your only purpose?
No, it's.
Why are you really going into the Hollow Earth?
I think it was already established in one of the plot synopses that they're going into Hollow Earth because they're going to look for the origins of the Titan. You know.
Yeah, but but that's really it. What if they just find a transcript on a wall that says, "Oh, hey, this is how it happened"?
Well,
You know,
yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
like,
but they need the humans to do something. What are they gonna
yeah,
do? Recycle the fucking orca? Like, no, get out of here with that bullshit. So yeah, they need to do something, and so you figure in King of the Monsters, in Skull Island, they established Hollow Earth, right? In King of the Monsters, they go down to Godzilla's lair. You see all of the, the ancient, ruins and the hieroglyphics and all that shit. That's all coming back.
so so do you think the big bad monster is going to be awoken in the Hollow Earth, like it lives in the Hollow Earth, and that's what's the big monster that they have to fight, or do you think it's going to be something genetically engineered from the King Ghidorah head?
It's got to be genetically engineered from King Ghidorah's head because that's what they set up. If they don't show anything off of that, then the fucking movie's whack because like you set this up and you ain't go follow through. What are you doing? What are you doing? So I can't see it being something from the Hollow Earth. Remember, you already have 17 kaiju running amok. You know, so there's enough monsters in the fucking movie. There's more monsters in this than there was in Destroy All Monsters. As of right now, I don't think there was 17 kaiju in Destroy All Monsters. I think there might have been 10. And in King of the Monsters, they established there was like 17 of these things. So, yeah, and then we didn't even count the Warbats,
Yeah.
or whatever, Kamataz or whatever whatever the hell that thing was, Kamazats. So, yeah, man, like, there's it's Destroy All Monsters, like it is. And they gotta use King Ghidorah's head to create a big bad. So
Yeah, it makes me wonder if we're gonna see Anguirus and King Ghidorah, where Anguirus is biting King Ghidorah's leg, and King Ghidorah takes off in the sky and drops Anguirus. Come on, we need some classic Destroy All Monster scenes.
if I'm not mistaken, that was his neck Anguirus was biting.
Oh, really? Okay, I can't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I just remember Anguirus falling to the ground, and then you never see Anguirus again after that. I think.
Until Final Wars.
Yeah.
No, I'm lying. Not until Final
It
Wars.
makes me wonder: are we going to get the aliens in Godzilla versus Kong, and they have to go into that cave and destroy that one thing in the cave that's controlling all the monsters or something like that?
Nope. And that's the
Come
thing.
on,
And that's
that
the
was like
thing.
one of the best scenes.
And that's the thing.
What
Godzilla
about
versus
getting
Kong.
someone jumping out of a window?
Godzilla versus Kong is not gonna being that this is going to be the end of the Monsterverse. You're not gonna get any aliens, man. It's over. They too based in reality.
Yeah.
Granted, Titans have been working. The only alien that has been is King Ghidorah, and that's where it's gonna end.
The only alien I would like to see come up at the end of the MonsterVerse is Marvin Martian.
Oh boy, could happen too. It's a Warner Brothers thing. They own Marvin the Martian,
and then that's their opening to Space Jam too.
Could you imagine Godzilla being a part of the Monstars in Space Jam 2? I'm down. If that's how the Monsterverse continues, I'm fucking with it. I'm with it. I remember I remember coming out of school. I was in high school when Space Jam 1 came out. I remember coming out of school, going up the block to the Alpine Theater and going to see it. I remember that. So, if Godzilla was a part of Space Jam 2 as a monster, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. But
So since we're on the topic, anyways, let's say it is 10 years later, and you hear the announcement of a new Americanized Godzilla incarnation or something. What would you like to just humor me? What would you like to see a new in a new American incarnation? What would you like to see? How would you want to go about it?
just do it the same way they did 2014. You know, it caught me off guard. It surprised me. The trailers look like the first teaser looked like it was Godzilla running amok. Turned out it wasn't that. It wasn't the force of nature Godzilla. It wasn't Godzilla like an anti-hero. It was Showa Godzilla. It was the heroic Godzilla. He was there to save, to fight off the Mutos for humanity. And it caught me off guard because that's not what I was expecting. And I loved it. So if they're going to, let's say 10 years from now, reboot Godzilla, yes, always in my heart I'm going to want Godzilla on a rampage. But because of the way 2014 pulled off that heroicness version of Godzilla, I want that. I could get behind that.
I think that if Gareth Edwards stuck with this Godzilla franchise, it probably would have been a lot more successful than it is. Hands down. I think that if Gareth Edwards was doing King of the Monsters, I think that it would have been a lot more darker and a lot more fully focused Godzilla movie. Because if you think about it, Doherty's King of the Monsters is all over the place plot-wise. Its plot actually kind of doesn't make much sense, in some degree. But I think if Gareth Edwards was still attached to it, I think the film would have been a lot better. I don't think Gareth Edwards would have done the shy away from the Godzilla thing. That that's the one thing. Gareth Edwards at least knew how to make the human element compelling. I mean, whether or not you liked Aaron Taylor Johnson as Ford Brody,
my man Ford Brody,
but Gareth Edwards still delivered a great focus on the human characters.
I agree. Let me answer this. I want to answer a question real quick. FQ22, when will the trailer be released? My brother, I'm going to go out on a limb and say January. And the reason why I say that is because when King of the Monsters was coming out, they put out their best trailer in January. Now, mind you, we had the first trailer at Comic-Con the year before. But their best trailer came out January of 2019. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That trailer blew my freaking head off. That trailer was better than the movie, in my personal opinion, and I like the movie. I'm just saying. That was the best trailer I've ever seen for any movie. Just the way it was put together. It just made me want it now. So if I had to say when that trailer would be released, I would say in January, only because that's when the best King of the Monsters trailer came out, and King of the Monsters came out in May. The same way Godzilla vs. Kong will be coming out in May. So hopefully that answered your question, FQ22.
Right when you get your $600 stimulus check, the trailer will drop.
Well, that's happening. I mean, I just saw before we came on air, the president signed off.
Right,
so
we got to keep politics out of this.
Yeah, the only politics we want to talk here is if there's politics within the movies. That's that because we don't.
We just like to joke and make jabs though every once in a while.
Everybody's welcome here. Everybody.
Hold on. I'm trying to read Lord Master Starscream's thing here. I wonder if Godzilla's going to be the bad guy in Godzilla vs. Kong because of the ending in King of the Monsters. That is an interesting point because they did bring up a lot like, oh, he's on our side. It's a good thing he's on our side, and they say for now. And that very foreshadows that Godzilla may become a dick in Godzilla vs. Kong. So I'm interested to see what happens too. But the thing is, I don't think Godzilla is going to be a villain.
It
I mean, maybe Mecha Godzilla if he's in the film,
well,
but
remember one of my
I, I I don't see Godzilla being a villain where he is like the enemy of everything, because he is the protector of Earth in this franchise. He is the king of the monsters. It's his world. You know, I mean, maybe he's being evil for the right reasons, and it's just we just don't like it. But if that's the case, I don't really see him being evil. I see him taking out the evil forces if they're treating the world wrong. You know, look, if he's destroying humanity because of the mistakes they're making, that just calls back to 54, and I think that's great. But I don't see Godzilla being like villain, like like the Thanos of Godzilla versus Kong. You know, I just don't see that.
you said something there that's very important. You said Godzilla protects the world. You're absolutely right. He's the king of the monsters for one reason and one reason only. He went out of his way. He goes around the earth. Kong doesn't do that shit. He stays on his fucking island. In the novelization of the movie, he heard the call and was like, "Yeah, okay," and stayed there. Sat there, found another octopus and ate it. Come on, man. So, yeah, no, I don't like. You can't. I can't consider Godzilla being a villain, but you're absolutely right. Because of the way King of the Monsters ended, it kind of mirrored Gamera
Yeah,
2 going
it
into Gamera 3.
foreshadows.
But you know how like Gamera 2, the Heisei movies going into Gamera 3, it was kind of like, okay, when Gamera, after he like died, quote unquote, and then he came back and he destroyed Legion at the end, everybody saluted him. Gamera looked at him and was like, "Alright, peace out," left. And then when Gamera comes back in Gamera 3, he's got no remorse for it. I mean, he does save the little kid, but his entrance, he saves the little kid and then blows everything up.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But you know what? If Godzilla in the next film does something like that, I kind of think that's kind of needed. You know, I would like to see like Godzilla be like, "Yeah, I want to keep you all in check." So if he ends up destroying some monarch building or something important, and it's making all the people a little bit afraid of him, I kind of think that's needed, because I would like Godzilla to prove that he doesn't need any help from people. I want him to keep humanity in check. And like I said, I don't like it when Godzilla needs help from people. And I'm still a little mad about that in King of the Monsters. I'm sorry, but Godzilla does not need help from people or other monsters. Godzilla is Godzilla. I mean, other monsters maybe, but the thing is, you know, I'm I think it's much needed. If Godzilla's gonna hurt Monarch and show something that's like jaw dropping to where like, oh my god, is he really evil? Then I think that's kind of needed, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Megara helped Godzilla in Space Godzilla. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I didn't like, and I just don't like that. I do not like it when you call him King of the Monsters, but yet you have people that have to get an orca and turn it on and fix it for Godzilla to get up on his feet so he can defeat King Ghidorah. I don't like that. I was kind of hoping when King Ghidorah was vampirizing Godzilla, he would atomic pulse and blew their heads off. I think that should have been the end of it right there. And the thing is I don't know why they made that point to have King Ghidorah vampirize Godzilla, just to be a call to Kaiser Ghidorah in Final Wars. I mean, okay, cool, but no one's going to really care about that. I mean, if you wanted to make it important for King Ghidorah being a vampire and sucking the energy out of Godzilla, they should have had a scene prior to that in the beginning of the movie when he did that, like when Godzilla's in Antarctica or something like that. Make that more apparent. To King Ghidorah wanting to vampirize Godzilla. So we know when it happens, we're like, oh shit, this is bad. But then it just happens at the end of King of the Monsters, and we're like, okay, that's kind of cool, but kind of weird at the same time, and it has no significant meaning. And then that's it.
Wait a
You
minute.
know?
I'm completely lost. What are you talking about vampirizing Godzilla?
When King Ghidorah in King of the Monsters goes up to Godzilla when he's on the ground and starts biting him on his body and starts sucking the energy out of him. Remember that part?
No.
You don't remember that. When
Mm-mm.
Godzilla's on the ground and King Ghidorah wraps himself around Godzilla in King of the Monsters and starts sucking the energy out of him, and King Ghidorah's neck starts turning red, and they're sucking the energy out of Godzilla. You don't remember that.
This was
This was
before.
2019 King of the Monsters.
Right. This was
It's,
before
it's right
Mothra.
after. It's right after Mothra dies.
So Mothra already imbued itself into Godzilla.
Yeah, Mothra's energy goes into Godzilla, and then King Ghidorah slithers over to Godzilla, starts constricting Godzilla, and starts biting him in 3 places with three of the heads, and it turns, where they bite him, it turns red, and then King Ghidorah's neck starts flashing red, like they're sucking the energy out of Godzilla.
This was before he took, and then he took off for him and then dropped him in the
That was
atmosphere.
after. That was after.
Right, he did that after. Like
Yeah. So that was after, and then that's when the Orca gets fixed. King Ghidorah gets distracted, goes to the Orca, and then Godzilla gets on his feet.
I feel terrible to say that I completely blocked that out of my brain. Like I don't remember that.
That is a very pivotal scene that I'm still confused about, because that happens, and I'm like, well, what's the point? You know, what is the point of doing that? I said, you should have done a scene prior to that to explain, like, oh no, King Ghidorah is trying to do something with Godzilla, like take his energy or something, or what? I'm like, what was he going to do? Try to turn into Godzilla? I mean, we don't need an Orga, so I don't understand the point that they were trying to do with that. I mean, it's cool, but it's weird, it's a callback to Final Wars for sure.
Wait.
But,
so you, my friend, you hate that. You don't like that at all.
No, I didn't.
And it is a callback to Final Wars.
Yeah,
Something that they used.
It's not that I don't like that. I just think because of it not having an establishment prior in the film, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this is just a cheap callback.
Well, in Final Wars,
callback.
In Final Wars, there was no establishment for that either.
Yeah, but the thing is with that is, maybe. I think with Final Wars, why it gets a pass to me though is because it's one of those things where it's a different monster. You know, this is a Kaiser Ghidorah. It's not King Ghidorah. So it's something in my mind that I'm not used to. So it's like I'm wondering what's up its sleeve. But then, you know, when you get King Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, you see him and you're like, oh, okay, I know King Ghidorah. I don't expect him to be also an energy vampire like Kaiser Ghidorah. You know what I mean? It's like you don't expect that from King Ghidorah, but you would expect that from Kaiser Ghidorah.
No, well, you don't expect that from King Ghidorah Toho. You know, Legendary's right. King Ghidorah, it's open for interpretation.
Right.
You know?
And I guess, you know, it's one of those things, I think it was just for shock value, too, because no one expected King Ghidorah's head to grow back unless you knew the spoiler, you know, but...
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing, though, but that's what I'm trying to say is, so you don't like that idea, you know, but you are okay with them bringing back a Destroyer. Come on, man.
It's not that I'm okay with them bringing back Destroyer. It's that I know they're bringing back Destroyer. So I gotta just get okay with it.
If they bring back Destroyer, then I'm gonna give Godzilla vs. Kong my Wonder Woman 84 review, which means, nah, it sucked. Fuck out of here. They don't need to do that.
But no, seriously, I just don't... My thing is, I just, like, you know, and I've said in several podcasts, I just don't like Godzilla getting help. You know, it was, you know, I just don't like it when Godzilla needs help from people. You know, I feel like if you're going to have a monster that's supposed to be this impressive, awesome force of nature, the king of the monsters, he shouldn't need help. I want to be impressed. If he's being tag teamed by a monster, I want to see him get out of it on his own. You know, I want to see Godzilla do something that's awesome to where he's like, you're not going to fuck with me. And we haven't gotten that, I feel like, you know? I mean, maybe in 2014 when he fly swats the winged Muto, but, you know, when it comes to, like, 2 monsters on him and then Ford Brody goes and distracts him, You know, I mean, okay, I mean, I get that. Godzilla is pretty much kind of a baby in that movie.
He is not a
But then
baby.
in,
He,
I
he
know.
he's nowhere near
But then
that.
in King of the Monsters, he's pretty much dying, and then they have to go revive him with a nuke, which that's understandable. I get that, even though I think the oxygen destroyer was kind of misused. But the part at the end when Godzilla's on the ground and they have to revive the orca to get King Ghidorah away from him to get him on his feet. I just don't like that, you know. And I like, again, I say this: my perfect ending to that movie would have been Godzilla using the atomic pulse right there and then, blowing King Ghidorah away, and then just going to town and beating the crap out of him. You know, I mean, come on, show an aggressive Godzilla that has tricks and powers up his sleeve. And that's one of the things with the Monsterverse Godzilla I kind of miss, is because this Godzilla kind of, I mean, even though he's powerful, he doesn't have very many tricks like Heisei Godzilla. And I kind of wish he did.
Well, I gotta
You know?
disagree with you on one aspect. He's very aggressive, especially in King of the Monsters. Godzilla is always on the attack.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I just wish he was more aggressive.
How could you be more aggressive when he's already aggressive? I don't get it. Like, he's
I
already on
want him
it.
more aggressive to the point where it's like, you know, like, I don't know, if Godzilla's on the ground being hurt, I want him to do something impressive to where he gets out of it. You know, atomic pulse, do something. Use your atomic breath. You know, he was doing that once. He did that once, and then Mothra showed up, and then that was pretty much it. That was the last time we see the atomic breath get used.
Yeah. Well, again, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Let's try to shoehorn a lot of Toho shit in there, and they shouldn't have done that. They should have kept it its own thing, and that's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, Gareth Edwards' movie is better. It's better. When you see the atomic breath for the first time, there's like a build to that, and then when it happens, you're like, oh my god, the light, the fucking sound, all the way up its fucking spine, from the tail to the fucking top of his spine, and then boom, and unleashing. And granted, you know, maybe if I had to change anything about 2014, it'd probably been the way the atomic breath looked, but that would have been it. Like, it was so dope. Like, the build up. It really wasn't anything like that in this. They relied a lot on Toho tropes, and that was whack in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Michael Dougherty, he kind of had like a shoehorn setup, you know? He just shoehorned things into there to kind of like make it a Toho movie, which is fine. I don't mind a Godzilla Toho movie, which what's what King of the Monsters was, but I would have loved some originality added to it. You know, I mean, look, Gareth Edwards is a great director. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his. I've seen a lot of his stuff. You know, like Krampus and Trick or Treat. I
Michael
just
Dougherty.
wish
That's Michael
that
Dougherty.
what?
That's Michael Dougherty. You said Gareth Edwards.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, Michael Dougherty. Anyways, I just wish that Michael Dougherty added more of his ideas, like his original ideas, than carbon copy shoehorned Toho ideas. You
Well,
know.
that's what kills me though. If you wish that, why do you want to see Destroyer? Like, why are you even happy about if Destroyer shows up in Godzilla vs Kong, which I personally don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, look, I don't, I know, like, if Destroyer shows up, I don't know at all. I'm just saying, I'm just doing that to tease you. You know, I'm just doing it to be a dick. But the reason why I would like to see Destroyer is, for one, Destroyer is, in my opinion, one of the coolest Godzilla villains Godzilla has ever gone up on. And to see something that monstrous and devastating in today's day, I just think that would be cool to see. That's why I want to see Destroyer. That's what I would be okay with it. And I just think Godzilla, but then yet again, I would have no problem King Ghidorah coming back, because I would love to see Kong fight King Ghidorah. You know, that would be a classic thing to see. But Destroyer is like, look, for me, when I think of like endings, it's go big or go home. And if this movie's going to be an ending to the franchise, I just want to see that because I'm like, I don't know what you could do to make a bad guy worse than King Ghidorah, you know? And Destroya would be it, in my opinion, if you had to pick one. So I'm just like, well, what are they going to do? You know, I'm curious.
Well, I mean
But
that shows no faith in the filmmakers and their originality. Like you just said, you wanted Michael Dougherty to bring more of his concepts to the movie. If his concepts weren't about the Toho creations, you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Then what
Well,
you're
see,
saying
that's
now
the
is,
all of those monsters he created were great.
well, I'm just
You know,
talking
I just
about in
wish we saw
general.
more of them.
I'm talking about like if you want more originality, Destroy is not originality. That's
Well,
just
right,
going
but
to
the
the
thing
well.
is, what I mean is with originality, I don't care that if it's a monster I already know. I mean, and I would love an original monster added to it. But what I would like to see are original themes and original scenes added with those monsters. Like, look, we haven't gotten Godzilla doing anything really underwater except swimming. I would love to see like an underwater actual like more diverse battle. Even though we saw that in King of the Monsters a tiny bit, I would like to see something a little bit more in depth. But I would also would like to see the military do something. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just give us something a little bit more. Like, it doesn't have to be a complete original take, but like, I would love to see this legendary Godzilla have like a naval battle where he's fighting the Navy or something. I think that would be cool. And I think honestly we might get that in this movie because we see Kong and then we see all these battleships behind him, and you know they're by Skull Island. I'm wondering if that's what we're gonna get this time. I'd be cool for it. Godzilla throwing Kong into ships and Kong fighting him and stuff in the water. I think that would be cool. But I just would, I don't know. I just would like to see. I feel like the Michael Dougherty stuff. It was so like on the line of we're gonna make this movie so nostalgic for the fans, which is how it always goes. You know, when movies aren't good, it's always they're trying to make love letters to the fans, but the general audience is what controls it, and that's the part that kind of is sad. You know,
And that's
because
the
yeah, we
part that
want
sunk
these
that movie.
movies. Yeah, we want these movies to be successful, and we want these movies to be nostalgic and be love letters to the fans. But if it doesn't work for the general audience, unfortunately, these movies don't do well. And you know, I don't know. I wish we would have gotten that scene in King of the Monsters when Millie Bobby Brown is trying to contact Monarch from the radio and stuff. I would love to have seen more in-depth seriousness. You know, I would love to have seen like when Michael Dougherty said Godzilla using his atomic breath in the water in that scene when he rises up. It's a call to arms. I don't still really understand that because it's not like all the other monsters came to help him fight King Ghidorah except Mothra. And even at that, it didn't really seem like a call to arms. It just seemed like something that was just going to happen anyways.
No,
You
it
know?
wasn't. It was a call to arms. It's just that they got there too late. That's all it was.
Yeah.
The
You know what
battle
would
was
have been
over.
cool? What would have been really cool to see is after that scene, Mothra comes and like talks to Godzilla for a second. Some type of communication would have been cool to see because that would have made, in my opinion, that would have made Mothra's death even a lot more emotional. And when Mothra dies, it kind of hurt. It kind of hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But if they had like a little conversation where it's like you know shit's gonna go down, I think that would have been cool. But I also still would have loved to have seen a scene where Godzilla and Rodan fight, and we didn't get that, you know?
I'm totally
And
getting that right now because I'm watching Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla '93. that's
yeah,
my that's my bedtime movie, and I just saw that last night. That fight on Adana Island, and I was like, hell, fucking yes.
yeah. And see, that's one of the things I miss. I think that if you're gonna make these movies and you're going to be playing with classic monsters, you got to do something impressive with us. And look, that Rodan scene was great. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. But look, you got to do something more with Godzilla. Have him fight Rodan. You know, establish. It's like Godzilla didn't even know what Rodan was in this movie because then anytime Rodan showed up, Mothra showed up, and it was just a misused opportunity. I felt, but it is what it is.
Well, I agree
just
with you.
wish, yeah, I wish it was. I just wish it was handled a little better.
Well, I agree with you there. You know how I feel about Rodan, so
Yeah, especially with Rodan's roar.
yeah,
But it just makes you wonder for Godzilla versus Kong, what's going to be at stake? What are we going to see? What monsters are going to be in it? What's going to be the main driving force for Godzilla versus Kong? Because we know it's not just going to be Godzilla and Kong.
I know it's going to be. It's very interesting because again, Kong did not care to leave his island when King Ghidorah roared and when the Call to Arms was made.
And he has that fucking collar around his neck.
Exactly. So
what the hell's going on?
That's going to be the interesting thing to see. What happens?
And I wonder if that's going to be a callback to like the 1933 film and Peter Jackson's Kong, where he's like chained up and he breaks out. Which, I mean, again, they did that in Skull Island too, a little bit when he became Kratos Kong. But like, still, I'm curious to see. But I mean, I'll be cool with that. I like callbacks to certain movies. I don't mind nostalgia Easter eggs.
No, not at all. And that's what I'm hoping for, with the exception again of a Destroyer. Give me something new. Give me something original. If you're gonna go out,
it's gonna be Anguirus with like Destroya's powers.
Dude, I wouldn't even be mad if it was Anguirus. Like, Anguirus is the fucking big bad.
And then Godzilla and Kong just play soccer with him.
Oh my god!
Like first off, soccer ball.
First off, I think Kong would be more hard pressed to deal with Anguirus than Godzilla because Kong's still fleshy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If they give Anguirus like spikes on his tail to go along with his, his back piece and the horns on his head, yeah, Anguirus is a tough ass opponent. So if you keep Kong fleshy and Anguirus goes at Kong, like a tail swipe to the legs is devastating because you're ripping into flesh. So whereas with Godzilla, it's probably gonna go kicking and just like bounce off.
It's gonna be like a rock hitting metal or metal hitting a rock.
Exactly, but time will tell. That would be funny as hell though if it was Anguirus. I would crack the hell up, but it's not. I want something original. I want something new, and I want something definitive so that when this movie does end, I could sit back and say, yeah, that is a fitting end to this entire series. Now bring it, Toho. That's all I want to say. Now bring it, Toho, because that's where we got to go next. Toho's got the world of Godzilla coming, and what is it? What are they gonna do? They're gonna they want to do their monster universe, and if they make a brand new Mothra movie, if they make a brand new Rodan movie, if they fucking go and make War of the Gargantuas or fucking Varon, and that's all gonna culminate into a brand new Toho giant monster. I'm with it. I'm totally with it.
Yeah, and there's still that chance that, because you got to think, Legendary is not the one that has the rights to the Godzilla title. It's Warner Brothers, and it makes me wonder after this movie, what's Warner Brothers going to do with their part? I'm sure there's going to be some talks with Toho about what they want to do. We could still possibly see a Warner Brothers Godzilla TV show. So
I don't think that's going to happen. I'm dead serious when I tell you this. I think this is the end. It's just, at this point in time, Toho is investing a lot into Hollywood. And I think they want to showcase to the world, like, okay, this is how we make Godzilla movies. Like, forget Godzilla 1985 and forget Godzilla 2000. Definitely forget G98. But 85 and 2000, they're Toho movies in recent memory that came out in theaters in the States and worldwide. I think Toho wants to do something new in regards to that. I mean, Shin, like, I'm pretty sure they want this Shin Godzilla to be like a a bigger release than what it was, And I get that, and I respect that. Like it should have been. Um, so I think that's what Toho's going for, not the limited release, but like the old school before we were born flavor. Where these movies would come out like a double feature. Toho could do it. Toho could do it, and they could do it on the cheap. And
It just makes you wonder what their next live action Godzilla is going to be.
right, exactly. I mean, well, we know they're not going to do a sequel to Shin Godzilla, so
Thank God.
thank God. But do you do like a brand new origin Godzilla movie, uh, and just focus on Godzilla? Do you add in this first movie a rival kaiju? I wouldn't do it. I would just solo straight up Godzilla movie, and stop it there, and then do a solo Mothra, a solo Rodan, and go down the line. Like I can't see a solo King Ghidorah movie,
I
but
can't either.
the way they did, I mean, remakes are remakes. That like these things happen. Go back and just remake the original Showa movies. Just remake them. That's all you got to do.
It just makes you wonder though, what would happen though if Toho's movies don't become successful though? What do they do? Because
well,
I mean, Shin Godzilla apparently was successful, but I mean,
successful in the States
box
or
office, box office.
successful
in Japan, it was successful.
I think, and I'm not gonna put 100% guarantee on it, but I think because of the cultural impact that Godzilla has to the country, and because of the now worldwide impact Godzilla has had, because of the legendary movies, this is a perfect opportunity for Toho to put it out and not really worry about what it does worldwide. Because again, you can make a Toho Godzilla movie on the cheap, and that shit probably would make its budget back just in Japan. So then worldwide, if it makes a couple of $1,000,000 or $100 million, $150 million worldwide, on top of them making their budget back, they win. They can totally remake the old Rodan movie. Don't get me wrong, though, Master Starscream. I love Rodan. I love that old movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I would absolutely love to see that remade. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't even lie. About 10 years ago, I started writing my own Rodan movie. Like, legit. Like, it was like a remake to the original. I didn't take nothing away from the original, but I just made it in a contemporary setting with a couple of things. I can't lie. I stole a couple of things, but I always want, like, Rodan and Jets are some of my favorite things to play with in terms of how I would love to see it, and I wrote that. I wrote that down, and yeah, I was like, man, if Toho was to ever make something like this, I'm in love. Not because I wrote it, but that's what I would love to see. But I digress. Yeah. So yeah.
I would love to see that little Godzilla versus Gigan fan film that's been going around that Toho advertised. I would love to see that turn into a live action. I want to see Gigan again. I miss Gigan. So
yeah, I
think it's time for some Gigan.
I'll tell you right now, I think Gigan's gonna go down, especially in the next batch of Toho films, because we know Toho is gonna make films. That's a given. But I think Gigan is gonna become a part of the echelon. And what I mean by that is, I think Gigan is gonna join the ranks of the Mothras, the King Ghidorahs, the Mechagodzillas, and I think Gigan is going to be one of those kaiju that you see, in a random offshoot movie. Now, if if Toho goes ahead and does, their version of a MonsterVerse, a connected movie verse, then I don't think Gigan will have its own film. See, here's the deal. When you look at the original Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, right? All those movies stood alone, had their own legs, and it felt good. Like they worked in its own world. But then you had Ghidorah, Ghidorah, King of the Monsters. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And then you bring those together. You bring those elements together, and Rodan and Godzilla automatically don't get along. But Mothra being that peacekeeper, because remember in the original Mothra wasn't around to destroy the fucking world. Mothra was just there to bring back, the fairies that were kidnapped, and I love that idea. Like it's a peacekeeping entity, and that's what it was in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monsters. But once you get past those three movies, right? Let's say you deal with Godzilla in the first one, you deal with Rodan, and Mothra. Really, I don't think I would remake Mothra, but if you did, Mothra takes care of business and then goes her own way. If you do something like Gigantus, you could get away with it, but you're gonna have to kill it. You're gonna have.
You know what I would be interested to see, but I wouldn't be shocked, is if they remade GMK again.
Oh, I would love that.
I would too, and actually use Varan and some, or maybe add some other monsters. Or imagine a Godzilla movie where Godzilla is like the big bad, the big Thanos, and all of the Godzilla monsters have to go against Godzilla. And then it's just this big old dark brawl, and Godzilla just rips through them all, and it's just all dark, and it just claims Godzilla King of the Monsters in a villainous way. Like, that would be twisted, and I would love it.
I can't disagree with that. I absolutely love that idea too. I think
that would be awesome.
That would be dope. Like I would totally buy into that. Like again, that's what GMK did. That's what GMK did. They made Godzilla the bad guy. Yeah, but like on a scale like Destroy All Monsters or Final Wars, I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
I was thinking, how like in some of the mangas or something, Godzilla like destroys the planet. How would you feel about seeing an actual Godzilla movie where he destroys Earth?
No, that's too far fetched. Because at the end of the day, Godzilla is not as big as the Earth, and that's the thing that kind of pisses me off. You know what I mean?
That is true. Godzilla
is 300 feet tall. 350 feet tall is my perfect Godzilla. That's fine. That's a giant monster.
Legendary size is my perfect Godzilla size, I'd say.
Yeah, but 17 billion feet tall is a different story. That's on a completely different level, and I don't ever want to see that in my Godzilla. And that's why we ain't getting Shin Godzilla 2. But all right, brother. Listen, man. I think I'm gonna wrap this up here.
I think it's a good time to stop. It's about 12:30, and I'm starting to lose it.
Yeah. So, hey, thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I was able to convince you to join.
Yeah, you suck. I should have been sleeping. But no, I had a good time, man. So I appreciate it. And Lord Master Starscream, thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody out there who checked in onto the
thank
podcast.
You all for joining.
And man. So that's it. I hope you enjoy. We should be back. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope everybody has a happy New Year. And
maybe the next time we're back, we'll have Godzilla trailer to talk about.
That's pretty much it. Hopefully we got that. So that being said, we are out of here. I am G1.